The significance of New Year is more emotional than anything else. Otherwise, the entire universe is in a state of motion, husbana, and years come and go, and it's a continuous flow, in fact. Only we make like milestones to help us understand the relative speed at which we are moving and the distance we are covering. So these years are also May years. That is why the Holy Quran declares it to be a means of husban, sun and moon, etc., etc. Yaslunaka anil ahilla, qul hiya mawaqitu linnasi wal hajj. But there is other place where husban, the word in the sense of hisab.
والشمس والقمر بحسبان
بحسبان
بحسبان.
That's right. So all these things, and the other references, of course, they tell us that they are means of measures in different ways. And the Holy Quran also tells us that Allah has fixed 12 months to the year from the times immemorial. So the circulation of 12 months is something fixed by God. So although most of the people have emotional attachment to the years by celebrating and enjoying meaninglessly, but according to the Holy Quran, the attention should be far more serious. They go into the design of things. Allah has created years according to a set purpose. And both the lunar months and solar months play a significant role in Islam. Because some things are measured by lunar months, some things by solar months. For instance, the most important fundamental prayer, 5 times prayer, is measured by the solar system, not by the system of the moon. So both are authentically and divinely approved things. While Hajj is measured according to the lunar months. So when we talk of years, we must keep in mind that both the years measured according to the solar system or measured according to the lunar system are valid, and both are Islamic. And according to the Quran, I have already proved that they play a significant role. Now, the significance of the years as they pass is not to enjoy or celebrate that the new year has dawned, but to contemplate and to look back and examine what we gained and what we lost during the last year. How many are left with us? So people say somebody is growing old. That is to say, his age is increasing. Well, in fact, the age is decreasing with the passage of years. So my attitude, which I also want to inculcate among Ahmadis, is simply this, that every year that passes, at the joint of 2 years, there is a time for contemplation and self-examination, introspection, and also the examination of all our children, family members, and others who are working under us, because we'll be answerable before Allah for all over whom we have some measure of control or influence. So every year I remind the Jamaat to go through that self-inspection and self-criticism and exploration of your own inner thoughts and things, and find out how far you have advanced in the direction of God or receded from that height which you had gained earlier. So that is the reason why we must look at the years as they pass by. Are we really gaining some distance with these milestones, with reference to these milestones? or we are losing whatever journey we had made earlier. So that is the most important thing, which must be born at the time of the joint of the years. The years as they pass, they in themselves mean nothing. Only they mean something in relation to the people who have gone through that period. And they are neither slow nor fast. It also is a matter of human perspective. Years, in some cases, pass so rapidly that a year goes and another comes, and another year comes and another goes, and so on and so forth. They seem moving bumper to bumper, like a crowded street, where cars stand or move bumper to bumper. But those who waste their time, for them the years just do not pass. Those who idle their time away, they have to wait for every day to begin and to end purposelessly. Then there are those who spend their days in pursuit of luxuries. Their time also moves faster, and their days end more quickly. But there are those who spend their time in occupation of good things, but they are not well versed or well acquainted with goodness, so goodness seems to be boring to them. So there are types which decide what sort of year has passed in relation to each person. Each person has different years. His speed is different, his purpose is different. The only thing which counts, as I have said already, and I repeat, is that how much distance you have gained in the direction of Allah before death overtakes you. So if we look at the years in this way, then the question of celebration never even strikes your mind. It's a question sometimes which depresses you, which bears heavily upon your heart. You think, oh, another year gone, and what have we done? So in this sense, a Urdu poet has said, "Afsos din bahar ke yun hi guzar gaye." Oh, woe that the days of spring have gone by in waste, without a purpose, without a benefit, without a gain. Similarly, वो हजरत मीर साहब की जो नज़म है, इट्स ऑल्सो इन द सेम मूड। न खुदा ही मेरा न विसारे सनम, न इधर के रहे न उधर के रहे। मीर साहब की नज़म में भी है ना ये, वैसे तो कुछ और नज़म का है हिस्सा। इसी हजरत मीर साहब की नज़म में हजरत मीर मोहम्मद इस्माइल साहब, the brother-in-law to Hazrat Masih Maud Islam, has written a very beautiful poem and very sad poem with regards to this. That every year comes and goes and we leave it empty behind and we cannot return. That is the most important point which I want to remind you of. When we come across a milestone, it is up to us to return, go back and see again those things which we missed and somebody reminded us. Oh, didn't you notice that something beautiful? And you say, no, sorry. Go ahead, go back and see it again. But if you miss something in life, there's no going back. It's not only after death. It is here in this life that the years give us this lesson. So when Allah will tell those who will require Him or request Him to send them back so that they could do good deeds, Allah says there is no going back. It is not something which it should be a surprise to them. Every moment of their life they have seen it themselves. It's an onward journey. No return, no going back in time. So this makes it far more important, because when the year comes and goes, then you realize that we might have done so many things and we didn't do. And the opportunities lost are lost forever. So that is one aspect of the passing of the year which we should contemplate upon. But there are other hopeful things as well. Everything is not so gloomy. There is also a silver line to the grey cloud of this subject. The silver lining is that Allah many a time repeats certain things every year. And if you miss them once, you may not miss them next time. You may not miss them the time afterwards. So there are certain opportunities which once missed are gone. But there are certain opportunities which Allah brings to you again and again and again. And those opportunities are both seasonal as well as opportunities to do good deeds. You can't say because I failed to serve a poor man, so I have missed this opportunity as a whole altogether. You can't help that man again because that time is past, the situation is gone, the person may have died. Anyway, that needy person who wanted something at a certain moment, his suffering could have been relieved which you failed to relieve. In this respect, I have been speaking of earlier on this subject. There you cannot return. That is over and finished. But to help the needy is a continuous process. If you fail to sow the seed of wheat, for instance, at the right moment, that again is not something lost forever. Next season it will come again, then you miss, then another season will come, another. So harvests, sowing of seeds, plantation of trees, these are the phenomenon which belong to Allah's attribute Rahim, where He repeats His mercy and comes again and again. So the years alert us as well about the future. Previously I have been speaking on the past contemplations and personal examination, etc. That is done for a purpose, not just to lament things which you could not do, for a purpose of choosing those things which will come again, and to ready yourself. All right, next time when it comes, I will not misbehave. Now, if you do that, if you succeed in fulfilling your resolution to do good things, then you are most certainly one of those who can be declared successful in the terminology of the Holy Quran. Ulaika humul faizun. These are the people who are definitely successful. But if you notice something else, every year you make new resolutions at the beginning of the year, and every time at the end of the year you find that you had failed to realize those resolutions and put them into practice. This is a very dangerous sign, because of these people with such habits, such attitudes, Allah says, I will not return you, but even if I return you forward, to what purpose? I am going to tell you, you will do exactly the same things again. You will not mend your ways. So this again is not a surprise. Like I told you, Allah said, whatever you lose, you lose. You can't travel back in time. That is a certainty. But apart from that, it is not a surprise that some people would be told that when we send you back, you will repeat the same thing. I have seen children, I have also myself experienced that during my early days when I was a school student. it happened every time, every year when the year was over. The school children got new books, new copybooks, new this and new that, and resolved. And sometimes I remember some friends used to write a resolution. The last year I didn't do this, I didn't pay proper attention, I didn't divide my time systematically. But this year is going to be different. And the same sentence was written over and over and over again, every year. So it is these people who will be said, who will be told by Allah in the future. So there is no surprise in that respect. And Allah's answers are most scientific, well-calculated answers, which we see fulfilled here in this world. And yet Allah, at that time, He says, no, I won't give you another time. First of all, you can't go back in time, but even if you did, I assure you, we'll do the same thing. This is the most scientific answer. Answer based on human psyche and experience. So this is what I point out. Don't waste your time in night-long revelries and waking and drinking where people drink, or dancing or indulging in music. We are welcoming the new year. That is the worst type of welcome you can give to your new year. And then, most often, their first morning prayer of the new year is missed. Or they're so tired by the morning that even if they say their prayer, there's heavy eyes, where they should not have prayed. They should have kept their distance in that state, because la taqrabu salata wa antum sukara. By the morning they are worse than sukara. So is this the beginning of the new year? No way, this is not the right beginning. And to wake up till 12 o'clock, another aspect. It's meaningless, because the days neither begin nor end at 12 o'clock. Allah has already fixed times for us and mentioned it in the Holy Quran. They are measured by the sun and the moon. So 12 o'clock measure is artificial and meaningless. Either the day begins at the sunset or it begins at the sunrise. Islamic days begin at the sunset, because the day is over and the new day begins, because the day, when we call it a day, is made of 24 hours and includes both days and nights together. So I started saying, well, Allah bless you and Happy New Year and this and that. This is just a wish. No harm in wishing good for others. Immediately after the sun was set on the 31st of December. Because according to my understanding of the Quran, the day ended on the evening of 31st of December, a new day began. So why to wake up uselessly anyway? Because 12 o'clock is no sign of the beginning or ending of a day or a year. And you waste your time, you wake up unnecessarily, put your children to so much trouble. Next morning they are not fit to go to school either. And I've seen here in England, they go mad in frenzy with the excitement of the new year. Again, one thing, and then I'll end this. It's developing into a short discourse on New Year's. What should be, what should not be, and so on. I remember when I was here as a student in 1955-56, it so happened that I used to do some labor work during my vacations, because I divided my vacation into two parts. Half the vacation for earning money, half for spending money and seeing sights and places. I didn't want to burden my father unnecessary for that, so I never asked him for any money for spending on vacations. I received only that money which I usually did. And that summer, the first half of the summer when I worked, it was a very hard labor work at Euston Station. The Euston Station was then the center of transportation of newspapers from London to the north. And the newspaper packages are so heavy, they're really backbreaking. And trucks after trucks came with newspapers, and we had to unload them, and immediately the train was ready for reloading them. So hardly you could get a time, in between the two acts of unloading and loading. During that period, I remember, it was not in the summer. It was exactly the New Year, because I remember that was a youth station. We also had these holidays, these Christmas holidays. So because I had nothing to celebrate during that period, I also got jobs during the Christmas holidays. It was on Christmas days. And the New Year fell during this holiday period. So in college we used to have 2 weeks or 3 weeks, perhaps 2 weeks during this break, and the beginning of the New Year was a part in between. So everybody, broke bottles of wine and champagne, and they went to Trafalgar Square, and every other place was almost deserted, and people drank so much. I was amazed what style it is of welcoming a new year or saying farewell to a year gone by. I was very depressed, and because whenever I was awake, I always started the new year with 2 nafil. So to pray to Allah for forgiveness for the past and to seek strength for the future. So there I started saying my 2 nafil, welcoming and farewelling, and saying farewell to the past. And because you wanted to pray much, so it took you quite some time to finish those 2 nawafil. But I remember my, the man, overseer who worked, who took care, supervisor. The supervisor there was kind enough to permit me some time off, because he was kind enough to realize that it is a religious purpose. So even otherwise, the students there working there had already left. They understood that this is the time for letting them go for enjoyment. So he permitted me to say my prayer. Now, when I finished, but even before that, I realized that somebody was standing by my side. And he was doing something and mumbling something, but I couldn't realize what it was going on. And moreover, my attention was more in the direction of prayer. So when I said Assalamu alaikum, there was an old man standing by. And he was an old Englishman. He was literally crying, tears flowing down his cheeks. I was amazed. I said, "Why are you crying?" He said, "The whole of London has gone mad. An entire population of London, they're drinking and wasting their time, they're committing sins for welcoming the new year. And there's one man here who is worshipping God." He said, "This is the way to welcome New Year." So impressed. Actually, literally, he was crying and sobbing. That was the noise I heard, vague sounds appearing from the side. So this, I must tell my viewers and listeners, that is the right way. But 12 o'clock is not the time for the prayer, because I happened to be awake, so I did that. But our day begins with a prayer anyway. That is the beauty of Islamic years. And it also ends with a prayer. Morning prayer and Maghrib prayer. So they should specially say some nawafil along with Maghrib and welcome the year, and also say tahajjud, which is time for the preparation of the new year. And then in the morning prayer they should be efficient. They should awaken all their children. See to it that at least on the first morning prayer of the year, not even children are asleep. You should do it jointly wherever you are. That's all I have to say on the issue of New Year's. Right?
كان
Have I
السؤال
taken that long? Huh? I'm sorry, I didn't notice it. Time flew by, you know. I said that even before death, one can determine what would happen to him with reference to the Quranic prophecies, or what will happen to certain type of people after death, fi Yawm al-Hisab. That's right. During the Day of Judgment. I quote the same dialogue mentioned in the Holy Quran. Somebody would say, "Oh Allah, return me to the earth or to the world once more, so that maybe I do better deeds, or promises I will do better deeds and will not be the same bad person I used to be." The answer will be,
قال ربي أرجعون لعلي أعمل صالحا.
oh, that's right. Yeah,
No.
that's right.
No.
And then the answer will be no, you can't return. But also one of the verses of the Holy Quran, or more than one, speak that even if you went back, you're going to do exactly the same things again. Now that is not a dictatorial decision. That is not an arbitrary decision. This decision is related to the type of people I'm mentioning here.
Yes.
They know that during their lives they have been doing exactly the same thing. Year after year after year, they resolve to change their lives, to become better people. And year after year, they broke their promises they kept with themselves. So on the Day of Judgment, when Allah will say, if I return you, you'll do the same things, this is because they have already been doing it during their lifetime. So nothing from Allah is arbitrary.
No, yes, I understand.
This is the point.